Tastemakers in the watch game like Gear Patrol have called their ceramic watch material almost magical and deemed their adventure-ready Cali Diver Automatic GMT the best sub-$500 dive watch, full stop. It's our friends at Movement. A Movement watch is built to run with precision, purpose, and X factors needed to make the best of the time you keep. From their best-selling automatics to innovative ceramics to more clean, inspired designs. Find your new Movement now at MVMT.com. That's MVMT.com.
You're listening to Make It, a podcast by Bonsai Creative that helps creatives in film get where they're going faster by sharing the advice, knowledge, and insights of professional creatives across the film industry. I'm your host, Chris Barkley, and with me today is my good friend and Make It podcast co-host, Nicholas Buggs. Hello. Chris here with another episode of the Make It podcast, and this is an Indie Talk week. And that means I have my good friend and co-founder with me, Nicholas Buggs. Nick, say hello.
Hello. Well, man, it feels like it's been forever, dude. It's like it's been a long time since an Indie Talk.
We should probably start doing these like every other day. Maybe we can start putting these out every day. Maybe we'll do it like on Clubhouse or on Call-In or on one of those apps. Our friends can then join in real time. Maybe we should even just go like Instagram Live. And just start doing Instagram Lives and just hop
going on.
And at the beginning, maybe 3 people will jump on because we never do it. But then eventually we can make like a habit of it, and then it'll become a thing. And then we'll get all of our ideas out. Because right now, as it stands, 100,000 things, it feels like, are going on in the world of film and in indie film. Today, we're going to talk about the IATSE strike that feels imminent. I guess we should touch on that a little bit and give you some counterfactual to it or something. What is that the right term? I don't know.
Yeah,
counter argument to it. And then with festivals abounding all around us, personally, I think top of mind for us right now, and I'd love to start here, is just festivals, their handling of COVID. But more specifically, what that's turned into is festivals doing sort of most of their screenings online and having some hand-picked screenings in person at theaters, different venues, whatever their venue is for the festival. But for a great deal of consumers, and a great deal of their screenings, those consumers will watch it on their computer or tablet, and those films will screen online. And one of the things you'll discover is that even though it's virtual, it's kind of not all the way like the internet. Like, we're used to the internet being a place where you can sort of go to any website, no matter what the origin of that website, China excluded. China.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
China is squeezing their population quite a bit. Their citizenry is ready to explode right now. They can't play video games. They can't trade with cryptocurrency anymore. They can't have more than one kid. Their lives are completely controlled from beginning to end. And in America, we have a variety of cowards, including in the movie industry, that can't even say their name or won't refuse to. Like John Cena making that apology in Chinese. Embarrassing. Embarrassing.
He tells you what the power is.
And the fact that the studio made John Cena the bag holder for that. Oh, embarrassing. And I like John Cena. I'm not a John Cena shit talker. I love I think he has that rock type.
He does.
Persona.
And he's trying to build it.
And energy about him. But that's embarrassing. It was embarrassing when the NBA went through what they went through. It was ridiculous. And the idea that they were going to fire Daryl Morey if he didn't, like like the fact that that even came up, someone in media, someone in PR decided they would bring that to the surface so we would start talking about it. And it just is ridiculous. One thing I talked to one of our interviewees about recently is like playing a fun game on Twitter where you make a comment and put hashtag China or hashtag Taiwan or hashtag Hong Kong or hashtag Uyghurs. And within 2 hours, you will be bombarded by Chinese bots talking crazy to you, whatever, and just trying to make you think you're in arguments with real people. And I think, you know, us Twitter veterans know better. Like,
I'll just, hey, don't play this game at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that,
because these bots are so sophisticated.
Yeah,
And anyone that's been on a social site long enough has like been approached by a bot or hit on by a bot, and it gets really creepy. And even on these dating sites, like if you go to like Bumble or like Tinder or Grindr or what's the other big one? OkCupid or any of these, what they will do is they will first send you a variety of bots that look like beautiful women, and they'll be flirting with you and messaging you all the time. And then once your credit card information is in there, then they'll ghost you. And then the real profiles show up. And then when you realize that you're not interested in any of the people with real profiles, then they'll send you the bots again.
Right. Yeah.
And they'll just keep you on the hook with it. It's a wonderful little honeypot they have going on. So we're just in a new age where, like, I think if you're not aware of this stuff, you're like bound to be played. But anyway, back to film festivals and virtual screenings. We just went on a make it indie talk
tangent from that to the honey bots. You know, it's like,
honey pots.
The honey bots.
Creating honey pots.
That's right.
The films that roll out, they can only be screened regionally. Many of them. So
regionally, as it pertains to the exact where that film festival
is located. So if you're in LA, maybe only LA area, maybe Arizona, Vegas, etc.
Yep.
Nevada, places around there. If you're here where we are you're in DC, so that would be like a region, and you know, Nashville would be a region, and this goes on. And the reason that is because the distributor sort of has control over how far the film goes and who sees it. And the reason why is they're playing ball with that festival and the festivals they're planning to go to. So there's like a whole marketing plan. We're going to hit this festival, this festival, this festival. They're all elite festivals. And then from there, we'll hit theaters. And the one thing, the little dirty detail, a little forbidden knowledge in there, Nick, is that, wait a second, as indies, we go to festivals to get distribution.
That's right.
And we're competing against films that are pretending not to have distribution.
Yeah.
But definitely do.
Right. And I think that's the part, like you said, pretending, right? It's like, it's non-disclosure, right? It's like, I'm not lying. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't tell you. That's all. Yeah. But that's the game, right? Because it also is to the benefit of the film festival, right? Like the film festival wants these bigger films, right? To show at their film festival, and to be the film festival that said, yeah, we gave them the jury award, right? Mm-hmm. We gave them that award. Like that's where it premiered, was at our festival, when it's like, yeah, they already had distribution. They're already backed by some studio. Like that's the game of it. Right. And it's like, for us, like, that's why we talk about stuff like this, is because we're all about the independent filmmaker. Like, where do you sit in all this? Right. If you're going there, you're trying to win that award. It's like, sorry, that award already got sold. Like that's out. Like you're not going to get it because, you know, like you said before, it's like, can you imagine, you know, that film festival doesn't give that studio distributed film the award? They might not get those films again.
Yeah.
Right. They might not come back.
That
Like, what do you
studio may
mean?
never
Like,
come back. The distributor may never come back. Right.
Exactly. Like, you just get, wait. So you're telling me that we had this production company, blah, 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 right? Developed this thing, distributor X, who's us, we distributed this thing, and you gave it to some indie filmmaker, around the corner.
That blew you away.
Exactly. That blew you away, that probably their film is better than ours, but they're not inside. Like, they're not inside the Golden Gates yet, right? They're on the outside. You can't do that. Like, you might give them the audience award.
Yeah.
You might give them a best this award, but no. Those top awards, you make sure you give them to us. So it's a crazy thing. It's like just opening the eyes of the filmmaker to, like, if you don't get that jury award, like, don't stress. Like, don't be worried about that, right? If you got best actor, you got best cinematography, you got best music, be happy with that. Like, that's a big deal because you were never in the running in the first place. Like, just like, be okay with that.
Yeah, I get this imagery in my head of the festival program director and executive director falling at the knees of Warner Brothers and begging for forgiveness after they gave away the prize to some indie filmmaker that blew them away. It'll never happen again, master. It's like one of Skeletor's minions trying to get back into the cave and work for Skeletor again. It's like,
I didn't know those were the rules of the game, right? I didn't know it will never happen again.
I promise it'll never happen.
Exactly.
I wonder if that is a model set up by, what's the name of the organization? The International Association of Film Festivals. What is it called?
It's the Film Festival Alliance.
The Film Festival Alliance. Yeah. International, right?
No, just Film Festival Alliance. That's it.
But it's an international alliance, correct?
Yeah, I think they're primarily in North America, because I think they have, it's basically 49 states, DC, Canada. I think that's it. I'm trying to remember if they have anything in the UK. I don't think so. I think it's primarily a North American organization.
Yeah, I wonder if they say, look, here's a model. Here's a profit model. Here's the way to leverage it. Here's the way to sort of have seesaw leverage back and forth with the filmmakers and keep yourself relevant. Like, I don't think we're poo-pooing on the idea that these guys have a business and that it's a big business, and that to run it at a bigger scale, you need the credibility of great films, studio films, currently distributed films, those drive attendance and that drives money to the festival, not just from the film community, because the film community alone isn't going to be enough to make it profitable. You have to get people who are sort of film enthusiasts, people who maybe just watch a few films a year, but enjoy a different type of experience around film. And then you bring those people in, and it can become a spectacle at that point, and you have a nice business. But it's just this idea that I don't think everything's on the table, and indie filmmaker just doesn't know. Now, some of these festivals, if not most of them, they have a separate award for feature films that are made within that city or state. So we've won 2 of those, and or I should say our films have, and it's great. Like, that's a wonderful accomplishment, to your point. Like, okay, we're not worried about beating the studio film here. Let's just be the best film that came out of this state, according to the judges and jurors, in the festival for this year. But you go into that and you're hustling for distribution and not realizing that there's a whole other game that's sort of happening at a level above you that is the true reason for the season.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they have to, like you said, it's a business, it's most of these film festivals, and let's just kind of pull it back. So we say it's a business, but a lot of these film festivals are actually nonprofit organizations, right? So they have to, at least make their money back, right? So even if they're not necessarily, again, they're not profiting from it, but they have to operate, right? Yeah. The average budget for one of these film festivals that's a part of the Film Festival Alliance, is just under $300,000, right? So that's not a small amount, by any means, right? If the average is 300,000, but if they're going to budget 300,000, one would expect that they wouldn't want to make that back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're coming in under that amount, you're hurting yourself. Right. So they have to make it back. So yeah, you got to bring in the big timers. You got to continue to bring them in. And what does that mean? You have to entice them. Right. What entices them? Just being there? No, they don't have to be there.
Yeah. There's no reason to be in the war if you think you're going to lose.
Right.
If you're a studio film doing a festival run under the guise of being an indie or a conscious film, if you will, like why even enter if you think you have a chance of being beat at that particular festival that it's just done in advance. And
it's one thing to be beaten by your peers.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what you want. If a bunch of you come, the studio distributed films,
that's called the Oscars.
But even at film festivals, right, it's fine to be beaten by your peers, but you don't see the independent who hasn't gotten distribution, the independent who hasn't gotten or hasn't been produced by one of, some notable production company. Those are the folks that you don't want to be beaten by, right? And you'd feel a little bit, kind of aggrieved if you were. So it's like, no, you bring 3 or 4 of us in, let us compete. Right, because we'll probably compete again at another festival, and a different one will win. That's fine, but let us compete amongst ourselves at your festival, and then we'll continue to come back because again, we're getting the awards where we want them.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to some of our friends at festivals and partners we have at festivals to find out if the money goes out or in, Like, do you, as a program director and executive director, do you have to reach out to a studio to see if they will screen their film at your festival and you pay them a fee of some sort? Or do they call you and they pay you a fee to ensure that they win and that they get special screening? So I wonder how it works. Or are we being cynical? And none of that happens, and they just like enter their film through Film Freeway, like everybody else, and hope that they were accepted. Like, I
hope I get it. Yeah.
Like the big film here at Nashville Film Festival is Spencer. I wonder if the producers submitted Spencer through Film Freeway and just hope they made it. Like, gosh, there's so much competition. I hope they take. Film. Yeah, it reminds me of what Michael McRae said, who's a great whistleblower and filmmaker, does the Whistleblower Film Summit. He said, I'm going to butcher the quote that he said, but he said every idea starts as a cause, or every passion starts as a cause, turns into a business and becomes a racket. And some of these festivals have been around so long, I wonder how many of them are at like racket level at this point as a nonprofit. And that was a quote from a guy who has seen incredible corruption within nonprofits. So again, not accusing, not truly intimating anything here, just saying that for the indie filmmaker, do not get down on yourself. Understand that a part of this game is a little bit rigged for the benefit of being able to do a festival again next year.
There you go. Exactly.
And just enjoy your festival run. If you submitted and were accepted, that's huge on its own. Addison Rae, she got a Netflix deal.
Yeah.
83 million followers on TikTok, 84 million, something like that. 40 million on Instagram, 5 million on Twitter. And I remember back in 2015 hearing some actors that we were close to lament about casting directors asking about their social followings.
Yep.
So 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. And at the time, it seemed kind of balderdash. It seemed a little bit, it felt like they were pariahs a little bit, like not the actors, but the casting directors, like in the films that were looking for following. And now it feels a little different, where like I empathize, like it's something Chris Green, who we've interviewed, friend of the podcast 2 times, he's been a 2-time guest, where he talks about, he was on Queen of the South, in our film Adult Interference. But he talks about like how frustrating it is to know that you killed it in the audition, and then the part was given to someone else who didn't do as well as you, like sort of didn't earn it on merit, but earned it through their cell phone. And it makes me wonder if those actors back in 2015 that I had spoken to about this, that were lamenting that to me, should have just gotten busy with building a following and just given in to the new ways, you know?
Well, you double down, right? It's like, if that's the new way and you're better, then you'll have both.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like why not? Yes, it's not easy. I mean, I'll tell you, it's like, you see those things, like, you know, my kids will watch, you know, YouTube, and there's these families on YouTube, and there's like a video every day, you know, and I'm not that guy. I'm not going to have a camera in my house, right? In my bathroom, in my bedroom, in every room. Like, every time you walk out of the house, you go to the grocery store, you take your camera. Like, it's intrusive. It's just way too much. But if you want that following, that's what you do, right? You produce content. You keep making content. So it's not an easy thing. And if it's a kind of against kind of your upbringing, sacrifice. It is. It's huge. So, I mean, it's no joke. It's not like, hey, I need this following, so you just go do it. You might have to change the nature of who you are. Yeah. Right. To make that happen. So it's not a small ask. But if you know that like, if that's your business and that's where you want to compete, then it's like, well, you might have to do that, right? You might have to make that sacrifice. You might have to figure that out, and maybe how it works within your life, but that's the way to go.
Yeah. And I think there's this sense that Addison Rae got there on her own, and she just had so much help along the way. And I think that's the part that makes people feel depressed about building their following and getting passed up, is they just don't know it's happening sort of behind the curtains. Like, they don't know that Addison Rae lived in the TikTok house, and that the algorithms are pushing her to every new subscriber that comes and jumps on TikTok, which is now overtaken YouTube as the most viewed platform. So more eyes are on TikTok than on YouTube or any other platform for that matter. So it starts off again in a very Sun Tzu kind of way. It is not a fair fight. So if you're out there as an independent actor and you're trying to increase your following, increase your success rate in auditions, and make a name for yourself, you just cannot even conflate yourself with Addison Rae, because she just simply, honestly, basically won the lotto by being picked as one of the 19 people who were going to be in that TikTok house. And it reminds me so much of like the misconceptions and presumptions that we have, or how we misunderstand how media pushes content and an idea out to us. So,
yeah, or just let's take it from this perspective. How old is she?
I think she's got to be in her early 20s now, mid 20s.
Right. So early 20s. Yeah. And then when she start, probably in her early to late teens. Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, I think she used to be a dancer or a cheerleader at Louisiana.
Right. LSU. But a lot of these, but remember, she's competing potentially against folks who, when you just talk about like the greater community of filmmakers or actors, right? Mm-hmm. You're competing against people who've got kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Competing against people who didn't grow up with a cell phone in their hands. Yeah. Right. So like there's other responsibilities that people have that they can't necessarily just carve out all this time to just make endless content. Right. Yeah. Maybe they have a day job to fund the family, right? And while they're doing the other things, there's other responsibilities where, you're competing with the kids. The kids live at home. They got no responsibilities other than to make content. You know what I'm saying? They're being bankrolled.
You talk to teenagers, and you talk to 20-year-olds that are in entertainment or want to create content, and you can tell by their responses that they don't realize she got a helping hand from the algorithms.
Oh, for sure, because but you're not supposed to.
Because their comments back to me are like, "Oh, I don't know why people are into her. I don't like." It's all these things where they don't understand. Like it's like,
right.
Like no, you don't have to be into her. Like you're right. Like she's like everybody else that dances, or maybe even worse. But she was the dancer that was chosen, like Mufasa picking up Simba in the sky.
Simba, right.
That's why
because remember, Simba got his butt kicked by Nala. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't the strongest, right?
So that's kind of what's going on. But you can tell by the responses, like the stories are hitting them in this personal place. And my message would be like, don't worry about, like, it's not that your content is worse, because there are people out there that are doing, like, we've brought her up before, Elizabeth Donaldson.
Yep.
She puts out something every single day, but she's not Neo.
Right.
She wasn't the one that was chosen by a social media platform, put in a house that's empty, that's simply designed for you to create content over and over and over again, and therefore amass this massive following. And then the whole idea is to take that person and spin them into every type of media possible. So of course, movies is just a type of media. And she already released a song in March, so they dipped their toe in music. So it's not that she's like the people we work with and advocate for, they're actors. This is, Addison Rae's going to be a entertainer.
Right. Well, and
so she'll have a book.
Yep. And we've always said it. It's like IP, right? Yeah. That's what we've always.
She's IP.
Exactly. Like that's it. Like it's a following. That's what they're buying.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, because it almost doesn't matter. She's going to do her. Right. Yeah. She may not be the best actor, but she'll be the best Addison Rae.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's what you're buying. Like, that's the idea. So it's like, don't be upset, actor, filmmaker, kind of indies. Like, don't be upset about that, because they're not buying an actor. They're buying Addison Rae. They're buying a following.
Right.
So it's like Miranda Sings, right? She's got, I don't know, at least 2, maybe 3 Netflix films.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal.
Yeah.
They're buying the audience, because the audience will translate. Right. They'll go from TikTok to YouTube to Netflix. They will follow her where she goes. Right. And I'll say, Miranda Sings, if you, just YouTube it, you find a couple of her videos. It's ridiculous and it's funny. I can't do that. I can't do a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to keep going and keep watching it. But for the folks who do, they'll be everywhere she is. So that's what the Addison Rae deal is.
Yeah. And it's kind of astonishing when I think about it, just hearing what you said, when someone really did it organically. I'm blown away. Like, when you see a YouTuber that has over 1 million subscribers, and you know that they didn't get a push from Google or Alphabet or whatever, and they just did it over a decade. My mind's blown.
Yeah, like for me,
or if you see somebody that didn't already have a platform but has more than a million followers on Instagram and didn't have to be in a bathing suit. Nothing against that, but let's say they didn't leverage that. That just
consistency, man. Sometimes, like I said, but it's a level of consistency that I think is beyond. I won't say it's beyond, but it can feel as though it's beyond certain generations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So like I told you, like some of the stuff that my kids will watch, these families, right? The whole family is on YouTube.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we think about making content. Oh, let's make a video this week or this month and put it out there. It'll be cute. And maybe it'll go viral. No. 365 days a year, they're making no less than one piece of content.
Yeah.
Okay. So at some point, that's your lever, you're hedging your bets. 365, 1 out of 365. Maybe it's not 365. Maybe it's actually times 5 years, right? Because they're dedicated. Mm-hmm. So 5 years, 365 pieces of content, and then one piece goes viral.
Right.
Right. But that's what because they made it part of who they are. Like, making the videos isn't like something that they're doing, like it's a job. No, they're literally embedding.
They walk in, the camera's on.
Exactly. They're embedding the camera into their lives. And I think this is something that is just even though they're behind not behind the camera, but in front of the camera, this isn't something that actors are used to. They're used to the camera for a purpose.
Yeah.
Right. It's for a part. It's for a character that they're supposed to play. Whereas in this huge social media content, these characters are these people.
Yeah.
Right. They're not necessarily, some of them are playing a character. Blippy is a flipping character. Right. But like a lot of these people it's just their family, and they're finding cool ways to express themselves. So it's not unnatural to them. Whereas I feel as like in the filmmaking world, right? Because what we've been talking about is content making, right? In the filmmaking world, no, it's not the same thing. It's a bigger chasm
for now, because I think when we get into the fifth wave of filmmaking, and we talk about the waves, where the first wave was just simply the invention of silent films, talking about like Charlie Chaplin, and then going into the second wave where theaters started having great ownership over 50% ownership over sort of the profit center around movies. And that lasted for 60 years more. And then you went into home video for that third wave. And now for the first time ever, people could be watching movies at home. And now you have the center of the fourth wave here in streaming. That fifth wave is this idea where making content, even films, even short films, even music, is going to be part of the gig economy, essentially.
It's just part of who you are.
Where you'll have this whole vertical of apps that you utilize to basically brand yourself, push your content out, do bookings, like the players in that space, like Squarespace and Wix and Unfold and the social media that's in there. These scheduling applications you can use to sort of book and get payment all in one place. Square, I said Squarespace, but there's also Square that does that, which is a great company as well. So that's what it's really going to be. So maybe the answer still is what you said earlier. If you want to do that, maybe, double down now and figure out a way to integrate that into your life. Or maybe you do something else, but you understand that you're not doing that other thing. And you can't do that other thing. You don't want to make that sacrifice. You're not doing that other thing. So you're going to take some L's on certain types of projects that require. It's almost like if the movie's great, you want the talent. And if the movie's designed to be a profit center for a bunch of people and investors, give me Addison Rae and throw her ass in the movie. Yeah.
But the question is though, like, okay, so if you look at films now and it bothers me, maybe it shouldn't, but you watch all these films that are out now, like, okay, we're talking about movies now, right? Not just content, talking about movies.
Yeah.
It's the same actors.
Yeah.
It's the same ones all the time. Like they're just recycling people, right? I'm like, really? And it's funny because
recycling IP, recycling actors.
Yeah, and it gets on my nerves too. And it's kind of my little pet peeve. It's like, how can you be in the Marvel universe and the DC universe?
Exactly.
Doesn't work, man. You can't be in both places like that. No, you're messing with my brain. Like you're messing with the whole thing. The universes are different. That's the whole point. Anyway, so they're recycling the same people over and over again. So I kind of wonder, are they building enough of a backlog, or let's call it, in some places you call it strategic workforce planning, right? At some point your elder statesmen and stateswomen, right, are going to retire. Yeah. So you make sure that you're onboarding the next generation that's coming in. I don't know. Are we actually building a second generation or third generation?
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, I know you're gonna say that, but like, that's it. Like all of the film industry rests on your shoulders, right? It's like
rests on you, Timothy.
Who's replacing Brad Pitt?
Oh, there are some kids, but they're not having the breakout sort of performances in films because the studios won't make them.
Right.
So what's gonna happen? You're either playing Spider-Man or you're not playing anyone that everybody's going to see. It's a little bit more difficult. Look, every time Samuel L. Jackson and Morgan Freeman step off set, they put them in a cryogenic chamber. Like they gotta keep.
Exactly.
Like we gotta keep you two dudes alive. Because who else is going to be the snappy black dude in a movie? Like,
right. That's what I'm saying. Like, what's going to happen? So for me, it's annoying because it's just the same people, you know. And I guess again, for me, it's probably annoying because of what we do. Like, we are all about the independent filmmakers. I'm like, give somebody else a chance, man. Like, why is it got to be the same people every time I turn around? You know, it's like every universe is just recycling the same people. So I'm wondering.
Yeah, well, you know why, but
I know. But what I'm saying is,
it's too risky. Too risky.
I know, but once they go away, so let's say we're moving into the fifth wave, right? Mm-hmm. What if that is the natural progression of things, that goes away? Like those people that we recognize and we know and we love, it just goes away. And now you're dealing with content creators who get kind of bolstered by the industry to be the face of things. So it gets to the point where it's like, if you're an actor, you have to be you got basically the key to the kingdom is following. 100%. Like that's it. So we got maybe, let's say we're 50% stars who run everything, 50% content. And maybe the next 5 years, it's 25% stars because a lot of people have retired, passed on or whatever. And it's 75% content creators. Yeah. And then it continues to happen that way, where it's like, you know, it's like Lee Abrams was saying about the mass stuff. Like, this stuff is just dumb. Yeah. You know, like maybe that's where it goes. It's like, you know what? There's more money in dumb. There's more money in just whatever we can get from the biggest content creator, because those content creators aren't filmmakers. Like, they don't understand everything that the actors do and how to play, but they're making content that people like. And I wonder, and I hope.
They're figuring it out.
And I hope it doesn't shift too much.
iPhones are awesome. I mean, it's just
but make films though, right? It's different from making content that people will just plug into as like being
Lee
a
Abrams
user.
said, make programming.
Exactly. Versus and have followers, not users, but like maybe that's part of it. It's like
our fans, not users. Yeah.
Yeah. Are we swinging into more? I hate to call it nonsense. Like, I don't want to knock anybody's content.
Well, right? Again, not to overquote Lee, but he's like, elite never gets off the ground and dumb.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's what I'm wondering. Like, is that where we're going? Like, are we going more towards that, or will we always be able to keep a balance? And I think that if we were to say anything, because again, the goal of this conversation that we have, or all these, is about how do we help the independent filmmaker? And maybe it's just like, look, you need to dip your toe. Forget dipping your toe. You need to put a leg in that water. Like, you need to be like, okay, I may not have a camera on me all the time, but I need to do more of that. Carve out a part of your life that is on camera more often than you are now, right? Yeah. So if you're an actor, act more. Come up with your own characters. Like, don't wait for someone else. That's the idea, right? Don't wait for someone else to bring you a character. Create your own, right?
Yeah, I saw Jasmine Kenya this week let out a character that had been in her mind for a long time. She drew a whole strip. It had animation and everything. And she just dropped it. She just dropped it on Instagram. Like,
exactly. Where's your character? Characters in your head all the time.
Like, now this character exists. This is like an interesting comic book character.
Right. And that's the thing, that you can do that.
Build on forever.
Yep.
But the thing that has changed is that wouldn't be acceptable to a certain generation, is this whole idea of TLDR. Too long, didn't read. Too long, didn't read. And we just have to admit that's kind of where we are as a society a little bit. That after a long day at work, we've had to intellectualize along the way. We just want to see a cat fall off of something. Right? Like, we don't want to be sent the published article that's in Scientific American. We're just going to go TLDR. Too long, didn't read. And then what happens is the whole of society actually degrades and gets dumber. The attention gets worse. And you are just searching. Like, I don't think that Chocolate Rain could come out today and be successful because it's too long. It's 5 minutes long. If Chocolate Rain came out today, it'd be 1 minute.
Yeah.
And that would be it. By the time he said Chocolate Rain the 30th time on minute 3, People will be like, okay, we got it. We figured it out.
Right. Yeah. But he would have done 1 minute.
TLDW. Too long, didn't watch.
Yeah. He would have done 1 minute, and then it would have been the duets. Yeah, after that, you know what I'm saying? Like, people would have been duetting with Chocolate Rain all over the place.
Yeah, that's what it is. So yeah. I guess before we run out of time, we should hit up this IATSE strike that seems imminent. We are seeing photographs come through on social media all over the place of protests in New York and other places. They want better pay, Nick. They want rest. They want friends and family. They want to see them. And I say, absolutely. Why not? But I couldn't help but notice two things that I thought were interesting, if not ironic. The first is that I started clicking on the profiles of the people that were like saying, hey, that's my sign. And hey, I was there. And they're all in film school or just regular college. Like, they're actually not working yet. They're still in school. And that's not to say you can't work on a set because you're in school. But my point is, you're unlikely to be working on set and have been
officially
been oppressed in this way already, to the point where you just can't take it anymore. And you're not going to stand for it. Not that you shouldn't join in, but as a guy who has a background in this and understands social movements, you just have to know, you can smell when there's an organizer behind it who has sent out an email, posted QR codes on telephone poles where you can figure out who's protesting and why and who the group is, and you can be part of something. And where they're going to be today. You can just smell when someone has sent a press release to the media and let them know exactly where the protest will be, to bring their cameras and to show up. And so, not that, because I think there is a real. And we have a lot of friends who are saying, hey, this is a real problem. So we think that's true. But there is a bit of it that seems to be manufactured so that the protests can get as many eyes on it as possible. The irony, of course, of all this is, why isn't there better pay and more rest? Why are the crew the bag holders for major productions? And then you find out, well, it's because the other unions are more powerful than yours.
And there are other unions.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Directors Guild of America, stronger than the IATSE. Producers Guild of America, stronger than the IATSE. SAG-AFTRA, stronger. Writers Guild of America West, stronger. And it just goes on and on. So they're able to secure the bag, as the kids say, for their actors and their union members and their top writers. And there's no money left in the budget to spread around the crew. And the fact of the matter is that the crew, for that reason, is at the bottom of the pay barrel within a film company, LLC. And how do we change that? And you could easily change it. You could change it tomorrow if production companies and studios weren't locked into other union contracts.
Yeah, and well, it's a good observation, right? And it's true. You also wonder, well, what if the budgets of these films went up to accommodate IATSE, right? IA and their requirements.
Yep.
But if those budgets went up, then of course, what's the trickle down effect on the other unions?
Less movies are getting made.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of
less investment money for indies.
Yeah,
because my guess is that indie crews aren't being oppressed this way across the board, because indie directors are small. Indie crews are so small, and they're all friends, and they're all moving in the same direction. They're rowing a smaller boat, but they're able to go fast because they're all rowing together. So.
Yeah, and we talked about that too, where it's like there's a lot of, because we, in our community, right, the indie film community, we've seen a lot of people showing their support, for the union. And, again, it's kind of the same thing where we wonder, it's like there's a lot of support but you're kind of on the outside, right? As some of the indies are, like you're not involved in that world, right? You don't have those same pressures. You don't have those same constraints because you operate in a different place. Right. And I think the support there is kind of like we talked about before. It's like the indies in this world kind of see themselves one day being in those roles. Right. So it's in their best
supporting
interest.
A future version of themselves. Like when I get there, my pay is going to be right. I'm going to be well rested. I'm going to see my friends and family.
Exactly. So support them now so that when you get there, you can say, hey, I had your back, right? I was at that rally. I was at that protest. I had you. Check my socials. Yeah. Right. Those are my receipts, bro. Like, check the socials. I had you. So yeah, I think that's what it is. So even though if they don't have that impact doesn't hit them today, they're envisioning their tomorrow. So it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, it's a classic sort of argument, which is like, hey, this is unfair because that person has a lot of money, so therefore they get a better lawyer and a better defense and a better chance to be innocent, whereas I don't, and I have to use the public defender who is in cahoots with the prosecutor. And you hear that on paper and you're like, damn, that's messed up. Like, how can we fix it? But then you realize the only way to fix it is to remove the value of money, which you don't want to do. As long as somebody has money, they're going to be able to leverage it to the extent of how much they have.
Right.
To use their full,
to the extent that the power will afford them.
Will afford them. Yeah. It's like asking some girl or man to be less charming. Because as long as they're that charming, no one will date you.
Right.
This is like, this wasn't Seinfeld episode where George was asking Jerry to be less funny.
Right. Yeah.
And he's like, you're being too funny around the girl that I like. So you have to be less funny. Yeah. She likes funny people. You're being too funny. And so he pretended to be dark and somber. And then that ended up turning her on accident. Yeah, so the whole thing blew up in his face. So anyway, just a thought. I suppose as we wrap up this indie talk, we should mention something we're very, very proud of. And we don't pat ourselves on the back on this podcast, but I can't hold it in. I'm personally a lot excited about it, actually. This started off, as I've mentioned many times before, as this passion project where we were sticking a handheld microphone, not even a mic. It was like a tape recorder, like a journalist tape recorder with a little micro tape in it, cassette in it, and just asking people, what does it mean to you to make it? And then recording their responses and putting it on a drive in WMA format. And this is crazy stuff. And that grew into this podcast. And we have now, Tuesday, I think not today, Tuesday, or when this drops Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, which I believe will be October 5th, that will be our 100th interview. Yeah. We have a special guest for that interview as well. So we're super excited about it. But Nick, obviously we've done a lot of content, all these indie talks and the film investment series, industry insights, mistakes in the making, blog posts, etc. But we have hit this milestone of having 100 creatives on here, these brilliant people who do these brilliant things and make everyone's lives they touch better. And we've had the opportunity to sit down with them, go deep and wide with them. And they've been cool enough to spend their time with us and in the Make It podcast. So Nick, if we can pat ourselves on the back, just once.
Man, gonna give that one right there. And 100, say that
down.
It's 100, and I want to let people know, right, that we haven't done 100 interviews, right, because we don't do interviews. Right. We've had 100 conversations with folks in the filmmaking industry. That's what's awesome about this. And what differentiates us, right? Because I'm going to go ahead, man. You said we're going to pat ourselves on the back. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to jump on that bandwagon right there, right? we don't just talk about the latest film, right? Which is what a lot, I'm not going to knock other podcasts, right? Because there's value in understanding the latest project, right? Because people want to see content, right? So they want to know about that latest film that you did, but that's not us, right?
And how many stars and how many thumbs up or down you give it.
Exactly. Like we're about that life to a degree. Like we want to know about the latest project, and we watch these films. And when there's a film that hits us, like we'll celebrate it. We'll talk about it. But what's greater is the filmmakers behind that content.
Yep.
Right. That's what we explore. And that's the coolest thing about what we've been doing that I'm super excited about, hitting this milestone, is that we've learned so much about the people behind this industry. And there's so many different stories, like the backstories, the childhood, how they were impacted by their parents or their communities, and, what they've learned about themselves throughout the process. Like that's really why I think it's important for people to listen to those guest conversations. It's just, there's so much to kind of unpack and even, learn about yourself in the process. I think we've gotten better as filmmakers, as podcast hosts, as people, just from listening to these or having these conversations. So it's pretty awesome. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. And just to hear how these folks have persevered, because the main thing about being an indie film is that it is a long game. You're playing the long game. Keep going. Don't stop. You're going to get where you want to get, and you'll leave a legacy behind of just wonderful art that will be found eventually, if it's not found, immediately. And we see cases of that all the time. Like Sarah Driver, for example, like people catching up and understanding her films of late and things like that. And people celebrating Marvin Van Peebles after he died.
Oh, yeah.
Like going back and realizing, he was a civil rights activist. Oh, he was, he made these films. So it's a long game. Keep playing, and we want to be part of the team. And we thank everybody for letting us be part of the team and interview all these folks. We got 100 interviews in the bank.
Conversations
in the bank. Deep dive, wide ranging topics. October 5th, that'll be 100. And guess what? We got several more already in the can, waiting for you, and we are excited about the next 100. So with that, we can wrap this up, and I'll start off with my big speech. We'll wrap this with my big speech. Every week I give this giant speech, and I keep thinking to myself, why do I give this speech if at the end of this we do a post roll that says all the same stuff twice in a row?
Yeah.
And maybe this is the week where I say, you know what? Maybe I don't need to say everything. I think there's power in saying it during the cast. So look, I'll shorten it this week, and then you guys can use the post roll to get all of it. But main thing is, if you want to reach out to me or to Nick, it's really easy. Contact@bonsai.film, _Bonsai Creative on Twitter and Instagram, Bonsai Creative on Facebook, Nick individually at nick@bonsai.film, and me individually at Flame in Your Heart on Twitter, or you can just search for Christopher Barkley at this point, and I will come right up on Twitter. So with that, Nick, please do give us the credo.
Yes, sir. I love that. Little shortened speech, is just on point, to the point. So folks out there in the podcast world and any other world that you might be accessing this wonderful content, be better, be creative, be engaged.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to rate 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Thank you.
Boom.
Peace.
You got it, bro.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Take it easy, folks.
Bye. You've been listening to the Make It Podcast. To find out more information about this week's topics, including links to relevant blog posts, projects, and indie creatives, please visit our website at www.bonsai.film. If you haven't already, you can join our podcast community on Apple Podcasts or the podcast app of your choice by searching for Make It Bonsai Creative, and the show will pop right up. You now have the opportunity to support the production of this podcast. If you love Make It and are a true fan of what we're trying to accomplish in the indie film community, please visit www.bonsai.film and click Contribute. Contributions start at only $5 monthly. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at _Bonsai Creative and on Facebook by searching for Bonsai Creative. You can provide feedback to us via email at contact@bonsai.film, and you can follow me, Chris, on Twitter at FlamingYourHeart. That's FlamingYurHeart. And of course, if you're looking to take a big step towards your filmmaking success, go to www.bonsai.film and click on Services to explore a variety of offerings from keynotes and panels to pitch readiness assessments and so much more. You have everything to gain. Until next time, be better, be creative, be engaged, and thank you for listening.